In this chapter, Paul is talking about money, and more so talking about his efforts in the ministry. The verse that stuck out to me was the one that said, "What soldier has to pay his own expense?" And to me, that concept alone kind of like sets a blueprint for how ministry either was or could go back to. I mean, I think in my limited experience, I see churches that fund different ministries and groups of people and individuals too, to some extent, but a lot of that's private, so we don't really have data on it or know a lot about some of those things. But I've heard times to where people will say, I'm using that third party people myself, that if someone is a missionary or just like in the community, like, hey, he goes and out on the streets and talks to people about God, like, that's awesome. And then like the follow-up question is, and what does he do for a living? Like, is that all he does? As if it's a bad thing. And I wish it wasn't that way. I wish we were able to support individuals, like maybe not just one person, but like if like 6 or 7 of us knew a friend who was really on fire about sharing the gospel and was charismatic and had a good personality to make that fast friend kind of deal, that a group could support him in a way that allowed him to do more instead of just after work or on the weekends, but be in the moment with people while the rest of us are at work. And I don't know, reading that verse makes me think that idea that I just said is not so radical as I think it is. To a degree, I think there's a family that used to go to church with us in Murfreesboro, to where there's grandparents, parents, and they've got kids now, but the parents, the dad would go out and do stuff. He quit his job several years ago in some medical tech company to pursue more spiritual pursuits. And I think he was supported mostly by his dad, I assume, but I don't really know. But he had people who kind of helped. They got through it. They figured it out and made it work for a little while. He then started another company that was like a tree cutting company, and then he's in another ministry now too, and running that one. Anyway, but I thought he was a first kind of like example of where I could kind of see this working. It's like, okay, so he felt the freedom to be able, the financial freedom to be able to quit his job or whatever to pursue loving on people and where they were, which was super cool. I was like, that's really nice. Like, that's pretty awesome. And it made me, I supported them very little financially, but they did have like a little campaign of sorts to raise some funds to get them to be able to do their thing, which was really cool. I was like, I'd like to see more of this kind of grassroots efforts and people around them to support them. Like, I could just see like smaller circles of people, individuals supporting a person to not have to worry about working a day-to-day job, but to be out where we couldn't or are unable. Like, I'm not that first contact with people, but I'd be like a secondary contact to where it's like that the person we're supporting, minister, the charismatic guy or gal, is more like ropes them in, I guess. But then after that, have them come meet Ariel and I here for dinner or something, and we host and get to know them and be Christ through our interactions and bring up the topic occasionally at their own pace, kind of deal. I think that would be a cool way to bring people to the Lord. Just thinking out loud, just based on this one sentence of soldiers pay their own wages. I was like, they're supported by an organization or a structure or in this case maybe a group of friends and support their efforts. So food for thought. Hope you have a good day. And this is from 1 Corinthians chapter 9.